Welcome to this podcast on Socrates, one of the most influential philosophers in history. In this episode, we'll explore Socrates' life, his philosophy, and his legacy. Section 1: Life of Socrates. Socrates was born in Athens, Greece, in 469 BCE. He spent most of his life in Athens, where he worked as a stonemason and later became a philosopher. Socrates never wrote any books, but his teachings were passed down through the works of his students, such as Plato and Xenophon. Section 2: Philosophy of Socrates. Socrates believed that the pursuit of knowledge and virtue was the highest goal of human life. He famously said, "The unexamined life is not worth living," which meant that people should constantly question their beliefs and actions in order to become better individuals. Socrates believed that wisdom came from admitting one's ignorance, and that true knowledge could only be obtained through rational inquiry and discussion. Section 3: The Socratic Method. Socrates is also famous for his teaching method, which is now known as the Socratic method. This method involves asking a series of questions to help someone reach a deeper understanding of a concept. The Socratic method is still used today in law schools and other educational institutions. Section 4: Trial and Death of Socrates. Socrates' teachings and questioning of the Athenian elite made him many enemies, and he was eventually put on trial for corrupting the youth and impiety. Despite his passionate defense, he was found guilty and sentenced to death by drinking hemlock. Socrates' death has been a source of controversy and admiration throughout history, as it represents the ultimate sacrifice for one's beliefs. Section 5: Legacy of Socrates. Socrates' legacy is still felt today, over 2,000 years after his death. His philosophy and teaching method have influenced countless individuals, including some of the most famous philosophers in history. Socrates' emphasis on self-examination and rational inquiry has inspired many to question their beliefs and strive for a deeper understanding of the world. Section 6: Socrates' influence on philosophy. Socrates' influence on philosophy cannot be overstated. His teachings and ideas have shaped Western philosophy and continue to be studied and debated today. Plato, one of Socrates' most famous students, wrote extensively about his teacher's philosophy, and many of Socrates' ideas are presented in Plato's dialogues. Socrates' emphasis on questioning and inquiry laid the foundation for the Western philosophical tradition, which is still based on the pursuit of knowledge through critical examination. Socrates' questioning of authority and tradition has influenced many philosophers, including Friedrich Nietzsche, who also challenged the status quo and traditional beliefs. Socrates' focus on ethics and virtue has also had a lasting impact on philosophy. His ideas about the importance of self-reflection, honesty, and moral courage have influenced many philosophers, including Immanuel Kant and John Stuart Mill, who developed ethical theories based on reason and virtue. Section 7: Socrates' influence on society. Socrates' influence extends beyond the realm of philosophy. His emphasis on individual thought and questioning authority has inspired many movements throughout history, including the Enlightenment and the Civil Rights Movement. Socrates' ideas about the importance of education and self-improvement have also influenced education systems throughout the world. The Socratic method is still used today in many fields, including law and medicine, as a way of encouraging critical thinking and inquiry. Section 8: Conclusion. In conclusion, Socrates' impact on philosophy and society cannot be overstated. His ideas about questioning, inquiry, and virtue continue to shape our understanding of the world and our place in it. Socrates' legacy serves as a reminder of the importance of critical thinking and self-reflection in the pursuit of knowledge and truth. Thank you for listening to this podcast on Socrates. Section 9: Criticisms of Socrates' Philosophy. While Socrates' ideas have had a profound impact on Western philosophy and society, they have also faced criticism over the years. One criticism of Socrates' philosophy is that it is too focused on individualism and does not take into account the importance of community and social responsibility. Another criticism is that Socrates' emphasis on reason and rational inquiry neglects the importance of emotions and intuition in human decision-making. Some argue that a purely rational approach to ethics and morality is incomplete and fails to account for the complexity of human nature. Section 10: Socrates in Pop Culture. Socrates has also been a popular figure in popular culture, appearing in numerous books, films, and television shows. He is often portrayed as a wise and eccentric philosopher who challenges the status quo and inspires others to think for themselves. Some popular portrayals of Socrates include the films Socrates, 1971, and The Trial of the Moke, 1978, and the television series Xena, Warrior Princess. Section 11: Socrates Quotes. Finally, let's end this podcast with some memorable quotes from Socrates. "The only true wisdom is in knowing you know nothing. To find yourself, think for yourself. An unexamined life is a life not worth living. The greatest way to live with honor in this world is to be what we pretend to be. The secret of change is to focus all of your energy, not on fighting the old, but on building the new." Section 12: Additional Resources. If you would like to learn more about Socrates and his philosophy, we recommend checking out the following resources. The Trial and Death of Socrates, by Plato. This is one of the most famous accounts of Socrates' life and philosophy, written by his student Plato. The Apology, by Plato. This is a transcript of Socrates' defense during his trial. The Symposium, by Plato. This dialogue explores the nature of love and desire, with Socrates as one of the main characters. The Last Days of Socrates, by Plato. This book includes several dialogues written by Plato about Socrates' final days. The Socratic Method, a Beginner's Guide to the Socratic Method and its Uses in the Classroom, by Andrew Kern. This book provides an introduction to the Socratic method and its use in teaching. Section 13: Conclusion. Socrates was a complex and influential philosopher whose ideas continue to be studied and debated today. His emphasis on questioning and inquiry, as well as his focus on ethics and virtue, have had a profound impact on Western philosophy and society. Despite his controversial methods and ideas, Socrates has remained a symbol of intellectual courage and individualism. We hope this podcast has given you a deeper appreciation for this fascinating philosopher and his legacy. Thank you for listening.